Since we talked about a few other directors, can you speak to the genius of James Cameron? Like what makes him special? You talked about some of the difference in your approach and his. Uh, he's created some of the most special movies ever. Also,
Oh,
what's behind that? What would you say is interesting about the way his creative mind works?
I think any of those guys, George Lucas, him, John Lasseter when he did Pixar, it's a mix of, and I got really lucky. My first job was a Photoshop because my dad had a friend who owned a Photoshop. He said, your summer job when I was 16, go work for my friend Mario. So I go to Mario's Photoshop and I'm, developing pictures or, think you develop photos from film. And he said, here, take this camera home. Give me one of his cameras. Take this camera home and some film. I need you to learn how to use the camera so you can help me sell the cameras.
Yeah.
So I went home and, I have a bunch of siblings. So like, well, the stars of bedhead, taking all these pictures of everybody. I take it back and he looks at the pictures when he develops. He's like, whoa, these are really creative. You're a creative person. So when sometimes people tell you something
Yeah.
you can't unhear. And he goes, that's a gift. What you need to know now you need to become technical. Because most creative people need technicians, and technicians always need creative people because they're not usually the same. You're born with creativity. It's against your nature to be technical, but you can learn if you apply yourself. And if you're both technical and creative, you'll be unstoppable. And I was like, stoppable, wow. So here, I want you to learn zone photography, like Ansel, I want you to learn the technical part of it. So that's why I didn't take a crew in Mariachi, because I knew if I'm just the creative person and I need a crew to go actually technically make the movie, I'll always need something. And when you want to really change your life, you want to get your I need list down to little as possible. Because if you're like, well, I want to shoot my movie, but I need a cameraman and I need somebody who knows how to light it, your I need list keeps growing. That's further and further and further you will be from what you need to accomplish. So I kind of went down there without any help. So that, remember that script analogy where the guy said, throw away 3 scripts? I said, no, I'm going to write 3 scripts and then shoot each one so I
Mhm.
get better at each one of those jobs so I can learn to be technical. My technical capability was so little. Like I'm literally calling the guy on the phone. How do I use this camera? That's how little I knew about it. But I knew by doing the job, I would learn. By being both, that's really the key. So Jim Cameron is like that. Jim Cameron, when you think of those guys, George Lucas, very technical and very creative. John Lasseter, very technical, but very creative. Pixar. Jim Cameron, very technical, very creative. Putting those two things together is really what sets you apart from other technicians and other creative people. And it's very, very powerful. And a lot of creative people, again, it's against their nature to be technical. They don't want to do it. Make yourself do it. Read the manuals, take the lessons. It frees you up because then you can go do like, I just showed you in that demo. You're able to now be a technical person and creative, and then you're unstoppable. He's one of the best at it. And he just knows how to craft a story. He's very analytical as well. Like we bounce off each other in a funny way. He goes, man, he came down to visit my studio before we did Alita, and he went, you only surround yourself with people who are like you. Like you exude creativity, from every pore.
Mhm.
And so does everyone at your studio. And I go, yeah, I didn't hire them that way on purpose, but I think if you're not that way, you kind of know you don't belong there and you kind of leave.
Yeah.
And then I went to his studio. And there are a bunch of Jim Camerons there. They're like, "Oh my god." They're all very technical.
Yeah.
You can't get all kind of fuzzy with the
Yeah.
logic or you can't get really creative with the physics or anything. They're like,
Yeah.
"No, that's not how it would work." It would be like, and they're just, wow, super great at what they do. Bar is sky high, and they're all like that. Because yeah, if you're not like that, you can't hang with those guys. You
Yeah.
can't hang with him
I
very long.
I heard a story where the guitar case being a rocket launcher, where to you, you create this surreal world where everything is possible. The magic feels real. And for James Cameron, he has to know how a guitar case would work that would actually
Oh,
be able
totally.
to double as a rocket launcher.
When I show him the trailer for Grindhouse and he sees the machine gun leg and all that, he just goes, "Whoa, that's unbridled filmmaking from the id." It makes sense only the second you're watching it, not a second after, but the second you're watching it, you believe it. But
Yeah.
he's really interesting in that he's so prolific. I walked into his writing studio and it'd be like on one of the tables, like, do you have those papers there? Imagine them that thick, that thick,
Mhm.
that thick, all script. What are these? He goes, this is a whole, space opera version of this movie. we're not making that one. It's like he's just cranking out all this stuff. It's like, again, can I take this and go
Yeah,
make
right.
this, please? But yeah, we bounced off each other because I loved his analytical part of his brain. I'm not that analytical. I'm just kind of like, hey, I'm really creative feeling. I'm like, woo, I'll go this way, and then woo, I'll go that way. And he likes that about me. But I like, I I want to be, because I think about things too much. Like, you think about things like,
Mhm,
what makes a movie a $1 billion hit? What are the elements that you need? And I'm going to analyze that, and I'm going to make sure my movie does that.
mhm,
And he engineers a submarine that can break the world record. He engineers a movie that can break the world record. He's like, he has that engineering mind, but the creative part, that's very rare. So that's very rare, and he's capitalized on both. He had this submarine model like this big on his desk, the one that he broke the world record
mhm.
for going, and just seeing it and knowing him have kids and stuff and wife. And I'm like, weren't you afraid going down there with, you know, something could happen? It's like, no, I wasn't afraid. I was like, why not? And he goes, because I designed the escape vehicle. Like, yeah, if it was any other bozo, I'd be afraid, but he designed the escape vehicle. That kind of confidence, that's him. He just knows if some other bozo had designed the escape vehicle, I would be afraid. But total confidence because he did it.
The confidence of extreme competence. That's brilliant.
Just to get you like excited about how creative this stuff is. So Desperado was the only movie on the Sony lot being edited digitally.
Mhm.
Not only was I editing on a computer, I was editing in my house, which in 1994 was just unheard of. So I'm there in my house, and they made me cut in LA because at first I told the studio, I want to edit Desperado myself because it's important that I edit it. And they go, no, you can't. Why not? We've never had a director edit his own movie here. So we don't want to set a precedent. Okay, so they thought it would give you too much power. So this is the power of precedent. I said, well, you bought Mariachi, and I edited that. So I said, okay, but you're going to have to edit in LA so we can watch you because we don't think you know what you're doing. We saw the footage and the shots are really short. It's too short. I was like, shots are too short. Oh, because I was shooting my cuts. Like they're used to seeing footage. Antonio walks into the bar and it's going to be a dialogue scene. They expect the whole thing done from a wide shot. I would shoot the wide shot. He walks in, cut, move the camera. Let's get over here because we wanted to, because I'm
Yeah.
not going to use it for the rest of the scene. I know we're going to get into coverage because I've already cut it. So I was like, huh, that's interesting. So I cut the first scene. Have you ever seen Desperado? The first scene is the best scene. Steve Buscemi's telling a story. He's talking about the myth of the mariachi. He's doing
Oh
all this
yeah, great
crazy.
scene,
It's
man.
crazy.
Great scene.
So then they come over. I say, hey, you come see my first scene. So they come over to my house. They watch it. Okay, you know what you're doing. They leave. But I was cutting Desperado in my house that I rented there. And then we shot Dusk Till Dawn at the same time. So I was cutting Desperado, 4 rooms, and Dusk Till Dawn myself. I'm the editor. I don't have an editing team other than the ones who import it into the machine. So Del Toro came over, Soderbergh came over. Can I borrow it for Schizopolis? Then no one had heard of somebody having an Avid in their living room. Jim comes over and he goes, I hear you have an Avid in your living room. And I go, yeah, come check it out. I roll out of bed. It's like, sounds unremarkable because that's what you do right now. But back in 94, it was unheard of. I'm cutting 3 movies at the same time myself. I roll out of bed. I come here. I can cut Desperado. I can cut Dust Till Dawn. He went, that's it. I hate working with editors. When I was doing Terminator 2, they wouldn't even let me put the Bad to the Bone song in Terminator 2 because they didn't think it would work. And I had to sneak into the edit room at night on the weekend to cut it in and then show them the next day. It's like, that's your own movie. You can't give that kind of power to people. He said,
Yeah,
I hate working with editors. I'm
yeah,
gonna do this. I'm gonna tear down a wall in my house. I'm gonna put it in Avid. I'm gonna cut my next movie.
yeah.
And he did. He got an Oscar for editing Titanic. He had 2 other editors, but now no one ever took him for a ride like that again.
Mhm.
He edits on every movie. He has other editors, but he can go do his own cuts. When he shows me like footage, he's showing me himself on his own machine. And it's like, again, it gives you all those tools to be able to really find your vision that you're looking for because you can't always explain it to somebody because you don't always know yourself. It's you kind of come up with it as you do the process.
Just a small tangent about the different software and the technologies involved. So you mentioned Avid, there's Premiere Pro.
Premiere was still in its early stages then. I think Soderbergh looked at it and it said, yeah, I can't afford an Avid for this movie. I'm going to go do it. So I think he started cutting on Premiere, but I'm sure it's all better now. I've always used an Avid because I just always rent it back to the same production. I think
Yeah.
I don't have to buy a new one, but there's lots of good, I've heard about all kinds of systems. I just use the same one.
I guess that's the question I have for you. It's just interesting for people. It's very interesting to me, just the details. You use Avid. Like, what do you like? Multiple monitors, one monitor?
I have a couple monitors and then one big monitor to watch it if I'm watching the scene back because the monitors are still a little wacky. I mean, if I were to design my own system, I'd probably design it differently. But I've worked on that thing since '94. I still don't know all the shortcuts and
Yeah.
all this shit. I still use it like my tape deck. Play, rewind, pause, and I can cut so fast with that. Just I don't use the mouse for shortcuts. I'm just like,
So you found your way, the
yeah,
preferred way, the workflow of using it, and now you can sort of let go of the technical and then be creative once
yeah.
you
Just be
understand the
creative. It's
basics.
just a tool. It's just a tool, and it's like it doesn't matter which system it is. It's like if you can get it to work for you, great. Like there's a lot of problems I have with it I know are probably fixed on another system, but that they'll have a whole other set of problems.
Yeah.
So it's like, well, why bother with that? You know, there's limitations I think that it has that would need to be fixed, but not for what I'm doing. I mean, I can still do what I need.
It feels like part of the artistry is every system has limitations, and you learn how to work around those limitations. I mean, that's
Oh yeah, well,
every
like
single
look at
thing.
my first VCRs. Like those things, those
Right.
things were. I was always known for taking what little basic equipment and milking the shit out of it.
Yeah.
What it could pushing the boundaries of what it can do, and now it's flipped. Now you're working on a program and you can spend 10 years on this thing and you're scratching the surface of what it's capable of. It's totally flipped the other way. I'm not milking anything anymore. I'm barely getting, the smallest capability of it because I would have to spend a lot of time to figure out all the stuff that it can possibly do. And I'm sure it's all great, fantastic stuff. But what a different world than when I grew up, where it was like, okay, let me splice these two sound things together. And it was so hard to get it to do. People would be like, you got that movie out of that equipment? Where now it's the other way around. It's like all this equipment is great. So when people come to me and say, I've only got this camera, I was like, that camera's 10 times better than anything I had for my first 15 years of filmmaking. Oh, you have no complaints. This is like you can just start now and just start making stuff.